humans existed here, where have they all gone? They're not evolving.
They're devolving. This planet has a history, Mother. A history I fear we are dangerously ignorant of.
There are a lot of things to like about HBO's slithery sci-fi series Raised by Wolves. Nuclear war, killer robots, space travel, other worlds, and my new personal favorite, time travel. Hey everyone, I'm Brent the Middleman, your middle-aged middle manager in Middle America, here today with a video discussing the coolest theory I've seen about Raised by Wolves, that Mother, Father, and Necrosnake actually traveled back in time when they passed through the planet's core, which means the events we saw in Season 1 took place in the future and the past simultaneously. Confused? Yeah, me too. So let's dive headfirst down the snake hole, examine all the evidence, and see if this theory, unlike the Necrosnake, has legs. Here is your obligatory spoiler warning for Season 1 of the show, and possibly for some aspects of Season 2, and if you like what you hear, maybe you could even leave a like and a comment. I promise I won't download a secret snake baby into your hard drive. Okay, let's get into it. The main evidence of time travel seems to be the cave paintings Paul finds. We see a Kepler 22b in its current form, complete with tunnels, 3 moons, and a drawing of the creatures that roam the planet with their elongated faces and tails. Then we see a ship that is identical to the one that Mother and Father took from Earth, except this ship is headed away from Kepler towards Earth. You can see our sun, the planets, and a gray circle representing Earth's lone moon. The figures flying the spaceship have pointy crowns on their heads, which is exactly how Tally drew Mother in the picture in the habitat of Mother kissing the original Campion. In fact, all of the pictures look to be in Tally's style. I also want to point out the triangle with the vector lines coming out of it. This could be a constellation or a drawing of a pyramid, but to me it looks like the Atheist symbol spray painted on the wall of Campion Sturgis's hideout on Earth where he reprogrammed Mother. We also see this A symbol on one of the tarot cards that the athletic hooded figure had, and in the simulation when Mother is impregnated. In fact, on the ground in the simulation, we see a number of symbols around the Mithraic sun, and all look to be in the style Tally drew in. I recognize the pointy crown she drew on Mother's head, and another piece of headwear that she drew on Mother and Father in the habitat pictures. So why are the cave paintings and all of the Mithraic symbols drawn in Tally's style? Tally was a human who was born from a frozen embryo on Kepler. Well, time travel answers all of this. If Mother and Father traveled back in time with the Necrosnake when they passed through the planet's core, and the remaining humans then followed them in the Atheist arc, then it's possible that at some point they decide to leave Kepler for primitive Earth in order to start the human race anew. Mother and/or Father may have stayed behind and documented this in the cave in Tally's style to honor her. This could also explain how Mithraism and its symbols and the instructions for dark photon energy made it to Earth long ago as well. Then once humans became advanced enough, they decoded the scriptures and started the chain of events that led to them destroying Earth and having to go back to Kepler. This would be why the final episode of Season 1 is called Beginnings, because we are actually seeing what started all the events we saw in the show. Mother and Father go back in time to the lush tropical zone on Kepler to become Adam and Eve. They even have an evil snake. The humans who went back to Earth knew this story and passed it down until it became the story of Genesis. The humans on Kepler follow Mother and Father back to the past and either start to war with each other or need to use nuclear weapons to destroy the snake. The snake may even reproduce, making them even harder to destroy, which is why we see a bunch of different kind of snake skeletons on the planet. Kepler then becomes a nuclear wasteland, and that is why the food is radioactive. They would also need to remove all signs of technology from the planet in order to prevent Saul from using it to get in their heads. The remaining humans become the hooded figures we see, using dark photon energy to extend their lives and become more athletic, maybe even living to present day. We saw what it did to Otho and to Marcus. Otho even seemed to be bulletproof. The hooded figures may even be people we are seeing on the show, but with time working differently on Kepler, They have been around waiting for the cycle to be repeated. When we first see the hooded figure retrieving the kids' trackers, we get a shot of its shoes. Its shoes look identical to the style of shoe Mother made for Campion. Is this athletic human figure young Campion grown old? Waiting all this time for the cycle to repeat so he could warn Mother and try to stop what is going to happen? Or they could be descendants of Campion and the other humans who pass down their knowledge of how to survive and of what is going to happen in the future so that the future generations could warn Mother not to birth the snake. But they could not use technology or Saul could start to control them, so they just stored their history on the cards that only Mother could read someday. I think that the pentagonal temples may house this knowledge or the secret to their longevity. If the humans were able to get rid of all technology on Kepler, then Saul would be completely dormant since it seems to need technology to communicate. We did not get any evidence of Saul or a disembodied intelligence until once the Ark got close enough to Kepler. Then it was able to reach out to Otho, telling him to rape the girls and starting the cycle of the necrosnake birth all over again, since Otho in the helmet was necessary for Mother to feed her baby. The helmet conveniently had a way to draw blood from the person wearing it without killing them, which makes me think it was designed for this purpose. Mother then crashes the Ark, giving Saul access to its technology and a way to download information into Mother. That is also when the voices and visions really pick up steam. In episode 4, Mother tells Tempest the story of salmon, how they live in the ocean, then swim upstream to return to the place of their birth. They bash themselves on the rocks, spawning all the way until they die. Their dead bodies then provide nutrients for the newborn salmon who head out to the ocean and start the cycle again. I think we are seeing Saul's life cycle on this show, its journey from the ocean back to the place of its birth, and then back to the ocean. It's just on a grander scale, with the snakes being like Saul's appendages as it returns to full strength. Saul's life cycle just happens to start on a future Earth where humans have nearly destroyed each other. Campion reprograms Mother to come to Kepler in order to be there to birth the snake, and maybe each cycle the android is different, and in this cycle it is a necromancer, and that is why this snake can fly and has an unusual mouth, unlike the previous snake skeletons we have seen. It's even possible that in the show we will see the final cycle of Saul, with this version of Mother, Father, and humans being the ones to break the cycle. And since the cycle involves time travel, we see the evidence of previous cycles on Kepler. This is a stretch, but I think it would be really interesting to see the cycle of life from the perspective of a being that exists outside of time. This could be why Saul seems to know everything and how it can grant the wishes of the humans. We see Mother wish to be a natural mother, and Saul impregnates her. We see Marcus wish for a way to get rid of Ambrose without being blamed, and Saul helps him burn him on the temple. Paul wishes to get Mouse back, and Saul brings Mouse back. Father wishes to be useful, and Mother then needs him to fly the lander into the hole. Maybe time works differently on Kepler due to the electromagnetic field and dark photon energy. The new Mouse we see may just be an earlier version from before it died, but it just seems like it's been resurrected. Maybe that's what Tally we are seeing as well. Maybe even Saul wants this cycle to be broken. We see it instruct Paul to remove the piece from the lander so they cannot fly to the tropical zone. But this also would have prevented Mother and Father from taking the snake through the center of the planet to the tropical zone, which may have taken them back in time. Maybe Saul knows that once they go back in time with the snake, that the whole cycle will start over, the beginning, just like the episode title. The pentagonal temples may have something to do with how time works on Kepler and how Saul got trapped outside of time. Yes, I believe that Saul was once a human or an android and somehow got trapped in this cycle. With each cycle, it is trying to change things to either escape its trap or just end the cycle altogether. A human or an android stuck outside of time like this, knowing the future and the past, would seem to current humans and androids like a god. Or it could just be a being that exists like this, and we are seeing its natural cycle from the perspective of the most recent human and androids to be a part of it. I do think it would be cool if Saul turns out to be Campion or Mother or Father or Marcus or even Paul, which even rhymes with Saul. Hopefully we get to see them go back to the past, and then we'll see the history of what happens on Kepler leading up to a ship being sent with humans back to Earth like we see in the paintings. Does your head hurt yet? I know mine does, and maybe I'm getting way out into speculation land here, but that's the best part of starting my own channel. I can talk about whatever I want. I know this is a lot of information, so I will just end with some other potential evidence of time travel I noticed upon rewatch of the show. When Campion is reprogramming Mother back on Earth, there is a voice announcing that the air quality is getting bad. Campion repeats this line to himself as if he was expecting it and made a note in his notebook. It really seems as if he is counting how much time he has to get Mother ready by the announcements, like he knows they are coming. Did Campion Sturgis know what was going to happen in the future from the scriptures, and that is why he went against his people? Is it even possible that young Campion becomes this other Campion Sturgis, who somehow is able to reprogram Mother and start the cycle? If time on Kepler is as funky as I've outlined above, then really anything would be possible. How much can we even trust Mother's memories of Campion reprogramming her? We have seen her be confused about visions being memories before, like when she saw the vision of the android birthing the snake from looking at the tarot card. It's possible this was programmed into her as a memory to give her feelings of love for Campion, or to make her think she was even from Earth. Maybe young Campion is the one who messed with her memories, and she has always been on Kepler. Or Hunter could have. We have seen that he understands how to work on androids, or maybe he even taught Campion. This could explain why Campion in the memory was repeating what was said on the loudspeaker, because he was taking notes on how he wants the memories to play out. We also know that Father has no memories of his time before landing on Kepler, so we may learn more about how they really came to be there from him in Season 2 or beyond. This brings me to another scene that could be evidence of time travel. Mother finds the head of the being she saw in her vision that was wearing a snake birthing helmet and vomiting white fuel blood. Mother freaks out because we can see that this is the head of an android because of the honeycomb pattern on the skull that is like Mother's insides. It is possible that this actually is Mother's head from the future. If her and Father did in fact travel to the past, then it's possible she could find her own skull still on Kepler. That's the thing about time travel and beings or people that know the future and the past. Not only do they seem godlike, but if they were to pass this knowledge to someone, then it would seem like prophecy. A statement that will come true in the future. The prophecy on the show of the orphan boy in an empty land founding the Mithraic city could actually just be a statement from someone who has lived through it and then traveled back to the past. Lucius tells Marcus when they are looking for the kids' trackers underground that scriptures mention that beasts come from the cracks underground. Another sign that people have been to Kepler then traveled back to the past and put it down as prophecy in the scriptures. The pentagonal temples are also another, and I'm sure you can let me know any I forgot in the comments. Another interesting thing I saw are the tattoos on the atheist faces. They look exactly like the veins on Marcus's face after he ate the necromancer eyeballs. Did atheists get the tattoos to look like someone who has facial markings like that? Or was it in honor of Marcus, who somehow inspires the movement? There's something going on with the atheists because, as I mentioned earlier, their A symbol looks just like the symbol drawn in the cave. I know I'm getting super tinfoil hat here, but who cares? It's fun. I am really interested in hearing your theories in the comments. Feel free to get crazy with them just like I did, because we have at least a year before we're proven wrong. Remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you don't want to miss any of my Raised by Wolves theory videos. Once again, I'm Brent the Middleman. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.